because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done.
Here now, Michael Isikoff, the co-author of that New York Times #1 best-selling book, Russian Roulette. He's also the chief investigative correspondent at Yahoo News, has covered this story extensively. Michael, good evening. Good to have you back on the story. Thanks for being here.
Good to be with you, Martha.
So, let's unravel this a bit. So it appears, according to your book, that John Brennan contacted Harry Reid, and then Harry Reid wrote a letter in August of 2016 after the DNC convention saying evidence of a direct connection between the Russian government and Donald Trump's presidential campaign continues to mount. And you also say that Reid had the impression that Brennan had an ulterior motive. He concluded the CIA chief believed that the public needed to know about the Russian operation, including the information about the possible links to the Trump campaign.
Exactly. Well, first of all, I love the fact that as people dig into the book, people on all sides find material that supports their case or that they didn't know and think is relevant. And this is probably an example. But yeah, Harry Reid wrote a letter to James Comey. He was trying to get Comey to investigate what he believed were these connections between the Trump campaign and the Russians. He at this point has been briefed by Brennan. Now, that briefing by Brennan was not just for Harry Reid. He was briefing all the congressional leaders at that point, the Gang of Eight, the intelligence community, the intelligence committee chiefs, and the leaders of the Senate and the House. The Reid briefing was significant because Reid acts on it, and he believes that Brennan is trying to get him to prod Comey to investigate. Now, you can look at that as anti-Trump bias. There is no question that Harry Reid is a fierce partisan and was a supporter of Hillary Clinton. Right. But there were legitimate concerns within the CIA, the FBI, and anybody who was getting these briefings about the prospect that Kremlin cutouts were trying to influence and insinuate themselves in a major American presidential campaign. And
okay, but all that circles back to the question of what the evidence was and what they were basing that on, and whether or not John Brennan had any sort of political motivation to say to Harry Reid, hey, I think you better go over there and bug Jim Comey about this, because we really want this to be lit up. We want it to be we want stories to be written about it. We want congressional members to be fired up about it. On October 30th, Reid writes to Comey, it has, quote, become clear that you possess explosive information about close ties and coordination between Donald Trump, his top advisors, and the Russian government. I mean, what is that explosive information? I mean, what we know about is a Carter Page thing that led nowhere. And now we know that there's, after a year of investigating this, Robert Mueller himself said there's no criminal target for President Trump. So what explosive information was Harry Reid talking about, Michael?
Well, remember, Martha, that in July, the FBI opens up a counterintelligence investigation. And it is multifaceted. It involves Carter Page. It involves George Papadopoulos. It involves Michael Flynn. So they are seeing all this potential evidence. They don't know the answer yet.
Precisely. They don't know the answer yet. So why are they pumping it through Congress and saying, please make a big stink about this on October 30th, before the election?
That's Harry Reid.
John Brennan. In your book, you say John Brennan was getting him to do it.
Hold on. Let's parse this correctly. Okay. John Brennan was trying to was briefing Harry Reid. Harry Reid getting the briefing in October 30 does write that letter. Remember, James Comey has just written his letter saying that the FBI has reopened the investigation into the Clinton email investigation.
But Michael, here's what you wrote. So, Reid also had the impression that Brennan had an ulterior motive, that he concluded that the CIA chief believed that the public needed to know, this is an ongoing investigation that has no evidentiary finding that is conclusive yet, that they needed to know about the Russia operation. And this is right before the election.
Well, that was the letter in August, and yes, Harry Reid did want it out that the FBI was investigating. He wanted an FBI investigation. There's no question about that. He's a partisan. He wants it known to the public that the Republican presidential campaign is being looked at by the FBI, which it was. That was, many people.
But he wouldn't have had that information if John Brennan hadn't brought it to him, and he claimed that he thought he had an ulterior motive. And then he went and did exactly what John Brennan's ulterior motive was, correct?
Right.
Okay.
It's something along those lines,
something
sure.
Along those lines. All right. No. Fascinating. No, it's fascinating.
Okay.
As you say, there are lots of gems in here.
Yes, there are.
Thank you, Michael. Good to see you.
Sure,
we'll see you next time. Good to see you. All right, coming up tonight, as tens of thousands